Design. Today we're going to have a go at drawing a mobius loop like the ones on the screen on this picture. It's a simple piece of laser cut 3mm MDF that slots together just like this using a living hinge to make it bendy. So I'm just going to move that off the screen for now, out of the way. And this is essentially the drawing that we're going to create. On there I've got some different coloured lines and some dimension lines that we'll delete after to prepare it for laser cutting, but this is what we're working towards. Okay. Now, the first thing I did when I drew this is I changed my grid spacing. So if you've just opened up 2D Design, your standard grid spacing on the default is 10mm. And that means that there's 10mm between each of the dots. Okay, so I'm going to change that spacing to 2mm between each of the dots by double clicking on the grid lock tool. And where it says X grid spacing there, 2, Y grid spacing 2. Okay, so we've done that. Now I'm going to draw this rectangle around the outside using my rectangle drawing tool. And then at the bottom where it says rel, we'll end up with an X coordinate and a Y coordinate. X being across left to right and Y being up and down. So I'll click, come over, and I need this to read on the relative score here for the X, 294. So that's there. And then on the Y, it says minus 60 there because it's going down. I need it to be minus 40. Okay. There we go. Now, of course, if I clicked in the wrong place and I made it too big, I can just change it by moving it. Okay. So I've created that. Next thing I'm going to do is draw these circles. We're going to start off with a radius of 4. That R4 there means radius of 4. And you'll notice over here, this one says 3.8 for that. We'll ignore that for the moment and we'll just work with 4mm. And to draw a circle with a radius of 4mm, I hold the circle drawing tool down, go to the second one along, and it asks me what do I want the radius to be. So mine says 4mm here, yours will have a different dimension at the moment, so make sure it says 4. Click OK. And then I'm going to place it one there, one there, and one there. And I've just guessed their placement, so I need to be a bit more accurate than that. So I'm going to go to my contour drawing tool, and I'll take the one in the middle here. It says draw a contour parallel to a line. And this time I'm going to change my contour spacing to 8mm. So I want one there, one there, one there, and one there. Oh, so it selected the circle then and did an extra circle. I didn't want that. I wanted to contour this line. Then I'm going to use that contour tool again, double click on it, change my contour spacing this time to 20. What that means is it'll find the center for me. Wrong way, that way. There we go. Delete that. So I'm going to select these lines. I'm going to press Shift as I select them so I can select them all in one go. And change the line color. So line col for color. And I was working with green before, so I'll stick that with green now. So just by look, I've managed to put these circles in the right place, so we can work with that, but this one, not so much. So I'm going to take the center line here and get that middle node, not the corners, but the middle, pull it along, and now I can see exactly where I need that to go. Make sure you've got your grid lock selected here. You don't want to wander off the grid here. Okay, now I'm going to take this and place it on the right-hand side over here. So it's going to kind of mirror it. But I need to make sure I get it in the right place. So I've got these lines to work off, but I also need, so I change this, so I'm going back to that contour tool there, double click, change the spacing to 8mm, and it doesn't matter if I go left or right of this line, but I need a line to work out my spacing. And I'm going to select my circles. Select one, press the Shift key, hold it down, select the other two. Got a copy tool here below this 2 squares, click that. Then I can come over and get this where I want it. So it needs to come one dot to the left, and that's bang on now. So they kind of mirror each other, so that one will stick out, that one will be a socket for it. So before I go any further, I need to do some contouring. If you notice up here, this one says radius 3.8. And the reason being, when the laser cutter runs, it actually burns through the material and removes slightly more than you want it to, or slightly more than you're drawing, because that's the way that it works. The nature of it, it vaporizes some of the material. So on our laser cutter, we're working to 0.2 millimeters of material lost. And I'm going to set that circle now. And that's the inside one. So I can then delete the outside one. I'll do that now because sometimes I'll get confused. And I'll do the same on this side. So 0.2 millimeters, but on the inside of these two. Delete, delete. And there we are. We'll have a nice tight fit on the sockets here. But we just need to add this little bridge bit here that connects that ball to the main body. And to do that, I'm going to use the contour tool again, change my spacing to 1 millimeter. I'm going to contour that, contour that, contour that, and then zoom in. So I need to do some deleting now. So I'm going to get to the delete tool, but I don't want to use this delete any, which is the default one. I want to use the second one along, delete part of an object between the two nearest intersections. I can start to crop away the lines that I don't want. And there we go. I'll get rid of that as well. So that sticks out. I want these ones to go in. So similar process. Okay, now we're going to go all the way over to the side and do something similar. Now, these lines need to be dragged out to the right so they get to the circle. So I'm going to go to my select tool, select this one, press my shift key, hold it down, select that one, select that one, select that one, drag them out together. There we go. Back to that delete tool, second one along. There we go. So we no longer need that line. So I'll press delete on my keyboard. Don't need that line. Oh, I tell a lie. I'm just going to have to fix what I've just done there. Okay. So I can delete these green ones, but I have to use that tool to get rid of those. That's right. Okay. So we've got both the ends done. Now we need to start thinking about this part here, which is called a living hinge. And the spacing on the lines here, so it's 3 millimeters from there to there, or 1.5 as we got from the center. So I'm going to use that contour tool again. So the middle one, change the spacing to 1.5 millimeters, and add 2 more lines. I'm going to select that, press shift, select that. Oops. I'll change the line color to green, just so it matches this one. And then I've got these ones here. So that line from there to there is spaced at 3 millimeters. So select my contour tool again, change my spacing to 3. There we go. Select that one, press shift, select that one, line color, red. The color isn't really important here, it's just for me to understand that those lines need to be deleted afterwards, they're just guidelines, okay? So now we're going to try and create this pattern of lines going across. So the first thing I need to do is draw this line, that first one, and it needs to be 14 millimeters from the end. So just to make things easier for myself, I'm going to use the contour tool again, set that spacing to 14. There we go. So I've got that point there. I need to take a line going diagonally up to the right, and it's set at, so it says 120 degrees there from horizontal. So to draw a line at a particular angle, we need to use a different tool. So I turn my grid lock back on, touch tool off. It's this one here, radial lock. If you double click on it, you can change this step angle to whatever you want it to be. So it's going to be, so 120, so we change it to 60 degrees. I'll turn it off for a second. And I've got my grid lock on. So I've got a line attached there. And I want to go over here somewhere, but 60 degrees from 60 degrees from there, 120 degrees from there. So I'll put that radial lock on. And there we go. It snaps it to those angles for me. I'll draw it slightly too long. And I can turn that off. Keep my grid lock on. Go to this trim tool. In fact, what I'll do is I'll use the contour tool first. Change my spacing to 2 millimeters. Contour that one. Yes, there we go. Now I'll go to my delete tool and I'm going to create this pattern that I've got here between these ones. That one, that one, and that one. So I need to get rid of that. And then for this second line, it's cropped there and it doesn't have the ones in the middle. I accidentally selected the wrong part, so come back. Done it again. There we go. So that's the pattern that we're going to have for our living hinge. I don't need this line here. And it's slightly too long there. And I want to repeat this pattern over here 12 more times to create this. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to draw a line. First thing I need to do is draw a line that's 4.62 millimeters long. It seems like a random measurement, but I'll show you why in a second. So what I'm going to do is draw a line like so. Select the line, go to property, and change the length to 4.62. Update. Okay. There's my 4.62 millimeter line. So next thing I'm going to do is go repeat this pattern 12 more times horizontally with a spacing of 4.62 millimeters. It's not that complicated, but let me just show you how to do it. So select the lines. I'm going to go to this tool here. It says transform. And if you open it up, you've got things like mirror and repeat pattern around the center. We want the first one. So move or copy the selected objects. Okay. We want repeat to be selected and we want number of repeats to be 12. So click OK. Now, important step. Turn the grid lock off, turn the attach tool on. So attach to one end of your 4.62 millimeter line and to the other end. And there we go. We've repeated the pattern 12 times with a spacing of 4.62. It's 4.62 because the distance between these lines is 2 millimeters if you go at 90 degrees from there, but actually it's at 60 degrees. So you get this random spacing. So now I'm going to group all of these. So select them all. There we go. Then go edit, group. So now that's one part. And I want to mirror it now. So it's the same tools I just used, but my mirror spacing, so the distance between those two lines there, is, let's see, 9 millimeters. So to do that, I'm going to use my line drawing tool. And I've got the attach tool still selected here. So I'm going to attach to there. And I want to draw vertically like that. I'm going to use the radial lock and change it to 90 millimeters. Sorry, 90 degrees. So it's locking to 90 degrees now. So I know it's going straight up. Contour spacing, 9 millimeters. So that's this green line here. I'll select that green line. Select that line here that's black. Line color green. Again, just so I don't get confused. And now we're going to use the mirror tool. So before I try to mirror it, I need to select the lines so they're nicely grouped. Hold it down. It's the second one along is mirror this time. And we want to repeat, not replace. So okay there. I'm going to turn that radial lock off. I've still got my attach tool on. So now I'll draw from there to there and it mirrors it over. So I'm going to repeat this again, but this time I'm going to turn my grid lock on, attach tool off. Looks kind of lands on the grid there. Change the spacing to 9 for the contour. Let's put that one in. Change that line to green again, line, call it green. I'm going to mirror it again. So select those lines. Second one along, mirror. Repeat, not replace. OK. My attach tool on, grid lock off, attach to there and there. And there it is. So that then, if we laser cut it, these lines will create the living hinge. These circles and the sockets will fit these pegs and it will close up nicely to create one of these. See exactly, it looks like there's a tiny gap there, but actually that's a really tight interference fit. And those living hinges bend perfectly. So last things we need to do before we prepare this file for laser cutting is get rid of all these guidelines that I put on there before to leave it with only the black lines that would be laser cut, like so. And there we have it. That's your Mobius loop 2D design drawing ready for laser cutting now. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Design.